Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Cal Royal number SDL17. This is a pocket door passage set is what it is. SDL17, this is in a US15 finish. US15 means satin nickel. Beyond that, we can't derive too much else about this. These plates may be made of brass. I'm tempted to say that they're brass. They may be. I believe they're stainless. I believe these finished plates are stainless steel with a brushed finish on it. It's not magnetic whatsoever. Which tells me it may be brass. Stainless should have a small amount of magnetism to it. So this is a passage function. All that you're going to get with this is just that edge pull and your face pulls. So it's a combination unit where you're going to get the ability to move the door in and out from the closed position to the open position, from the open position to the closed position. That's it. A couple of screws govern this. Keep the plates on either side attached to the chassis that's inside. Other than that, not much to it. You'll get a couple of screws to finish off the installation, obviously for here and here. Installation instructions are included, but before we get to that, let's just throw the tape measure around a little bit to see what we're dealing with. Overall height, about 2 11/16. Overall width, about 2 11/16. The outside dimension, it's about 1 3/8. Certainly this will work for 1 3/4, 1 3/8 doors. I don't know if it'll work on 1 3/4. I imagine that it will. Because the return of the finished plates over the end would be adequate to loosen those screws to have it stretch out over 1 3/4. The documentation should tell us more about that, and it does. It specifically says 1 3/4. Now, before let's just switch to the screen view where we can take a look at this item and its installation instructions. Installation for this is going to be very simple. There's going to be a notch prepped in the door. That's all you do. You attach this, you put the 2 screws, you're finished. No strike plate because it's a passage set. A privacy would give you the hook that would come out along with the strike and the jam. So let's switch to the screen view now. So this is indeed the item that we're looking at, and let's get to the other finishes. Cal Royal will put this out in other finishes as well. Let's take a look. Oops. Oil rub bronze, US 10B. Satin nickel, the one we're looking at. Antique nickel is a US 15A. US 19 is black. US 26 polished chrome. US 2060 satin chrome. US 3 polished brass. A split finish, US 3 on the exterior with a US 26 on the interior. Very common for bathrooms in residential applications. Built in the 50s and the 60s, in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, in the 2000s, 2010s, teens. Very common, split finish. All your interior material is going to have a polished finish in general, not always, but you're going to have polished finishes overall. US 5 antique brass, I'm surprised that finishes, that's 1970s right there. But a very nice finish, absolutely. So the item that we're working on, US 15 satin nickel, extended description information here and down below, sliding door lock, passage, pocket doors. So the term pocket is actually a term that needs a little bit of clarification. It's okay to use the term without knowing, but an actual pocket door is not what this is for. A pocket door in a residential application is actually a sliding door. Okay, you can certainly see what I'm drawing here. That's our sliding door, right? Okay. Here's another little doodad. Okay. Sliding door, residential application. That's where you're going to use your little Cal Royal SDL17. This is a cross section of a pocket door. A pocket door is when you have a door that's hung on a hinge. It's known as a Harmon hinge or a pocket pivot hinge, and it's a real special little gizmo that goes in here like this. However, it can articulate to like this position here because of how the frame has been prepped. The purpose of a pocket door is to get the door out of the opening. And actually, this door would be closer to being flush with the stop. It would be, it would encroach a little bit over the stop area. But the purpose of this is when you have a pair of doors. That's awful. In a hospital, okay, you really want to get those doors out of the way when you come through, because a standard door is going to encroach into the opening. A standard door, when it's pivoted on its hinge axis here, it's actually going to be out here. So when you use a Harmon hinge or a pocket door hinge, you get that door out of the way. You can do it with a swing clear hinge as well, but you don't see those as often. And a Harmon hinge, if you just search Harmon hinge, you're going to find it. Harmon hinge. Oh. That's a beautiful drawing of a Harmon hinge. That is right there what a pocket door is. That's a pocket door. Okay? And that Harmon hinge allows it to pivot in such a way that it will get it, inside of the opening and out of the way. 1920s. I would have guessed that this hinge is actually older than that. You can see it used to great effect here. That's beautiful. Just that's a pocket door. It's absolutely beautiful. We stock a pocket door hinge by Dorma, and other people make it. ABH, Ives, Rixson. It's right here. Pocket pivot hinge. That's what that's used for. Okay, enough of a divergence. Sliding door. So if someone says I have a pocket door, yeah, I understand. It goes into the pocket in the door. There's no question. But the term pocket needs to be defined a little bit further in certain instances. Here's my point. If you're doing a hospital, they're probably not thinking this. They're probably thinking this. Now, back to our item, pocket doors. Easy installation onto pocket type interior doors. That's true. With just a simple cut in the edge of the door. Decorative coined edges. Coined in the sense that it's been stamped so that it has this detail that they're referring to. It doesn't show up at all very well, but it does have a nice detail that runs along this outside perimeter here. Non-handed, this can certainly be installed on either a left-hand or a right-hand door, and sliding doors are indeed handed, there's no doubt. There is a hand to them. It wouldn't matter with this, but there's other sliding door hardware where it absolutely matters. Standard door prep, we'll get to that when we get to the installation instructions. 1 3/8 and 1 3/4 door, satin nickel. Cut sheet, let's click on that. This will be a page out of the catalog. Overview of what we've already discussed. Dimensional properties that we've kind of already touched on. Our link to the installation instructions. Having trouble with Chrome. Alright, it worked, it stopped. Here we go. So this document is literally packaged with your hardware, and they want to have an 1 3/4 deep by 2 1/4 tall route or mortise or notch into the edge of the door. I would really recommend that you use a router. These radiused edges here you can absolutely leave. I would create myself a template. I would create myself a board that has a notch in it like this. I would clamp it down to the edge of my door, and I'd let my router just do the work, my plunge router. And I'd make it quick, fast, and easy. If I was in the mode of being ultra lazy, which is almost all the time, I would probably make this same template. Like this, so that I could clamp it to the bottom of my door and always have my bottom of the door to the center line always what I need it to be. So if I had to do multiple, I would make a template. I would use my tape measure one time, and I'd make my template, and I wouldn't use it again. That's what I would do. If you're doing just one, you might just hammer and chisel it, but you know, obviously I wouldn't recommend that. You'll want a more elegant way to prep that. It just pressure fits sleeves over the end. You'll pre-drill a couple of small holes for the screws. Be sure to pre-drill them. You don't want to fight that screw getting it in, and you don't want to strip or shear the screw. If you had a privacy function, they'll want you to do a strike prep. That's not what we're dealing with here. Okay. Very simple. If you're doing a new installation, you might want to take an audit or a poll of the rest of the doors in the space to make sure that you're installing it at a height that's commiserate with the rest of the heights. We did a project one time, and I wasn't the project manager, but my company did a job where the project manager had 8-foot doors and he had 7-foot 10 doors, or 7'9", and he took 8-foot jambs and cut all of them to make 7'9", because the client was in a hurry. It's a Friday and he wants these frames on the job Monday. So he took 8-foot jambs and cut 3" off the bottom. They were drywall, so it wasn't a big deal. Well, it turns out it's a hallway that's like 100 feet in length, and you had 8-foot doors and 7'9" doors on the same wall on both sides, and sure enough, the height of all those locks did not line up, and it was awful, and I felt bad for the fella, but, you know, I told him, you're probably going to want those lock heights to be at the same location. Not so concerned about the hinges, but those locks need to be at the right height. It was still handicap compliant, but barely, but it didn't line up. So you're going to want to check that out before you just start prepping material. Now, this link here to the manufacturer's page is where you can pull up not only all of the Cal Royal products that we sell. A link to the manufacturer's website is here, as well as a link to their full product catalog. Okay. Prior catalogs are here. A master template index is here. So some interesting support documentations are here. Let's wrap up this video on camera. In conclusion, nice quality item, very inexpensive, very good value. It's certainly manufactured overseas. Cal Royal does business with Vietnam, Taiwan, obviously China. I'm not sure what other Asian countries they do business with. The hallmark of dealing with Cal Royal is they have a lot of people in customer service. The people that I've spoken to have been there for many years. They are in general good. There is occasionally times when they're less than good. There are times when I have had to call and ask for the order confirmation. They're a large company. They're growing, and they have been nonstop for the last 2+ decades, very aggressively continuing to add. The problem with the people who import hardware and some get it, many don't, is you can buy an imported pocket door passage set from anyone. Anyone, literally. There's nothing that's different about this from 10 other imported items. What are they really selling? This that I can buy anywhere? At the local Home Depot? Which is fine. But why buy it from Cal Royal? Well, they need to figure out, and some of these other people do, and some have, that what you're selling me is not a sliding door set. It's a relationship. It's the predictable, dependable, reliable, quality product at a fair price, and you get it out the door. Okay? Don't make your clients call repeatedly for order confirmations and tracking numbers. Just get it out the door. If a mistake is made, don't negotiate the terms of making it right. Just make it right. I've had recently an instance where it was the third time something was shipped incorrectly over and over. And I don't want to negotiate having to get the right material. So what people who import material from overseas need to learn is you're selling service. You're not selling hardware. There's nothing special about this. It's nice. I wouldn't hesitate to use it. I wouldn't hesitate to suggest that you use it. But I would suggest that you consider your relationship with an importer of hardware that can get the job done. And Cal Royal historically has been very good at that. I don't like the stumbles along the way, however, because it's a simple thing. They are bringing in container loads. They were putting that on shelves. They are then pulling that material off, putting it in a box, and shipping it. No manufacturing. No plating. No major problems of things of that nature. It's literally boxing material up. Now, I don't mean to distill their process down to something so ignorantly simple, because I am ignorant about it. And I know they do key work there, but they don't do manufacturing and they don't do plating there. You know, they're not, you know, they're a wholesaler is what they are. They just happen to have relationships with people overseas that manufacture it for them. So Cal Royal, do a good job. Any questions on the SDL17 in a US15 finish or any other Cal Royal product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.